my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, that's babe, need you every day. You like my oxygen. Make it seem like the barging down. Got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch. Might wake the neighbors up. Break you in and break you out. In the end, we're gonna make it.
Dionna, welcome back. We're here for season 2 of All Time High. How have things been going?
Things have been great. I mean, as you can see, the U.S. has gotten it all shaken up, and I'm excited to deep dive into it.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. We took a little bit of time off. Speaking of 2.0, we were kind of under the idea that Choke Point 2.0 was going on. And so we sat tight, let the election play out, and we're back for season 2. You know, one of the things, though, in building the bridge to where we are now and the kind of 6-month hiatus that we had was to look back at all the things in season 1 that turned out to be the most popular. What do you think about that?
How good did we do? Did we kill it? I know there was a couple we were like spot on.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, in listening to what the people are listening to, we get a good idea of where we can go this year. But there were some things that we said that were excellent prognostications. In fact, let me, the first of which, and you mentioned it a couple times. Well, you know what? I could talk about it, but let's just show the people the videos. What do you think? These are probably, I'll call it not quite exactly our top 10, but kind of our top 10 from last season.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yes, here we go. Here's number 1.
Great face. Can we do something about my face?
The news came down that the New York court indicted Trump, not indicted, found him guilty of 34 felony counts. Yeah, convicted. Yeah. So he's now a convicted felon.
34 counts.
34 counts.
And we had no idea while we were recording. We were talking about Ross. You want to talk a little bit more about that? Because I know.
Yeah, I mean, we you know, Ross Ulbricht, the founder of Silk Road, the first use case for Bitcoin, and he was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms in prison in New York, right? So same district court, I believe, same area that Trump had his whole thing. Yeah. And when Trump spoke at the Libertarian Conference a couple of weeks ago, he said that he's willing to pardon Ross Ulbricht, and now I bet he's even more willing to do it, considering he can empathize with what Ross feels like he went through.
How about that?
No, I know. Can I tell you, when I saw the photo of Ross out, like, first, thank God that people are backing up what they said that they were going to do. Yeah. And like, quick, it wasn't even a week. It was like, bam, it was done. And, you know, it's just nice. It's nice to see that people are embracing the pioneers with the change. And listen, I'm not saying that Ross was like innocent in what he did, but he served his time. I mean, he did a decade in prison. Like, call it good. Financial crime, my bad, won't do it again. You know, but he's out, and, you know, Trump lived up to his word. And it makes me happy.
That to me was the deal. Politically, a promise made, a promise kept. Hey, game on. Thank you. Let's go to the next deal that we want to check out.
I like these. That? These are good. Back, right? I know.
Like, here we go. Next one up.
Speaking of which, my girlfriend Tatiana is dropping her Ross Ordinals, which was a drawing that he did for her. They're amazing. I'll get that info and we can always dish it out later.
Yeah, share it as a link or on a future episode for sure. Here we go. Here's the next one.
My face.
You know, the news came down that the New York court indicted Trump, not indicted, found him guilty of 34 felony counts. Yeah, convicted.
Let me get to the next one. Here we go. This is a good one.
Or we just watch that one again. I mean, it was pretty good. You know, I love him shaking up this justice system. It feels like once you go through it and you feel the corruption, you know what I mean? To be able to get in and make improvements and shake it up and fix it, it is very liberating, I think.
Let me go through here. This is a good one that sets up the whole premise of what we've been talking about. And boy, did it turn out to be true. Here we go. And now we're ready.
Well, that we kind of got into Bitcoin, and, you know, now that we've hit that all-time high, which I mean, I'm not going to say you called it, Jim, with the name of the show, but I feel like you kind of called it a little bit with the name of the show. All these people are excited about Bitcoin. It's on everybody's talking about it. And, it's just nice to know that people are finally catching up to the things that we saw years ago.
Yeah. And it was exciting. The timing was good for the episode name and convention. And, we are confidently capable of saying that Bitcoin is solidly, for as volatile as
72,000 at the time.
It is at 72, almost $73,000. And it is definitely at an all-time high.
I love like all the.
So how about that?
You know what I noticed? We're better looking now than we were 6 months ago. I was like, I don't know what we must have like taken 6 months to refresh or something because we're looking better.
It was a pretty stressful time, wasn't it?
Last 2 years, last 4 years have been pretty intense. But going back to like Bitcoin and talking about the all-time high, I don't even think we're there. I think that this year, when you talk about the U.S. actually having a storage of Bitcoin, a reserve of Bitcoin, and now 17 states have put in to have a reserve of Bitcoin as well. So you're going to think of this money that's going to start flowing into here. I think seeing 250 by the end of the year is super reasonable. Oh yeah, I've heard people
not financial advice. We still got to disclaim. I think this season though, I'm going to quit worrying about all the different words.
This is my opinion. This is totally my opinion. I'm not my opinion, but it's a very, very legitimate opinion considering everything.
Let's use this to go to someone else's opinion. Again, not financial advice, but this was back in that era, our window of time when we were looking at, a $70,000 Bitcoin and people were talking about it was going to go back to 15,000. Check this out.
I wish I had.
I've nailed it again. You said this would be a big year for Bitcoin. So your thoughts on being right?
This is from the All In podcast.
I don't have much thoughts on that, but my two comments are that
Now.
a lot of Bitcoin traders and folks that seem to have a very good pulse and touch on this market. I don't say that I do because
we're
I don't
not a
really
good pulse, obviously, because they didn't call
but they seem to think that this thing is on a death march to 100K. I'm not sure whether that price is realistic or not in a year, but I will say that
remember how fearful people
we're going to get to a tipping point where everybody really talks about this. I still don't think we're there yet. I think we're just at the beginning. But when you see the inflows into these ETFs shake out, it's like a very big deal because it just allows every mom and pop individual to buy some to the extent that they want to own it or they want to speculate on it, whatever it is. So I think it's been a very big. You nailed it again.
Yeah, he nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah,
we nailed it.
Yeah, there's always going to be the naysayers, and you got to wonder sometimes what's the motivation to get in there and cause some fear. Maybe they're trying to play the market a little bit. They are traders, get it to dip down so they can buy more. Who knows? But the writing's on the wall. The more use cases, the more circulation you're going to have for Bitcoin, the more money pumping into it, the higher it's going to go. That's just the principles. That's the economics of it.
For sure. And I want to share with you a couple others that we're going to go through here. We had this unique thing where we saw what was coming up with Senator Warren. Let's take a look at that. To 40 million people that could determine the outcome of an election that was within a couple million votes either way.
Yeah.
In each of the last two cycles. So do you want to take a look at the video that I think turned this conversation completely around, like 180
Absolutely.
degrees, depending upon how you would count that? And so if there is 15% of the US population, now you're talking 30 to 40 million people that could determine the outcome of an election that was within a couple million votes either way.
Yeah.
In each of the last two cycles. So do you want to take a look?
So do you know the video, what it was?
No. I don't remember.
No, I do. I remember. It was the goggles guy. Do you remember the goggles guy?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was kind of a big deal, it turned out. And, I look back and I wonder, was that a plant or not? But either way, he asked the question, and we now have our first crypto president, our first Bitcoin president, however you want to characterize it.
Yep. Yeah. And I've been doing deep dives into how this administration's looking at stuff. I'm super excited about it.
Oh yeah. We're going to talk about that in a future episode.
That's why I didn't go into it.
Very soon. Let me go. We've got a couple more to clear here off the deck.
Jim, we are freaking smart. We
Who
have been
knew?
calling it left
Oh,
and right. I'm just
it's
saying.
been uncanny, but yeah, it's been uncanny. So here we are, back by popular demand.
Hey,
Here we
can you
go.
do
I
this with
mentioned
sports too? Do you know how to
what's that?
predict sports?
I do. I wish I knew how to predict. Yeah, I do. Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. Here, I have had a really bad run with my sports predictions on my other channel, which is for my company. I've been predicting the Super Bowl outcomes, and I started off each week, and it's really been bad for the team. You see my Detroit Lions helmet in the background. I wanted them, I think all of America wanted the Lions and the Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl.
Of
But
course.
instead, this Super Bowl has got a rerun. We have got the Eagles and the Chiefs, and I think it's all scripted. I do.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the game, Travis Kelce is going to propose to Taylor Swift. We're going to find out. I don't know if it's really going to transpire, but I'm just saying the way this thing has been playing out, all the underdogs, which I have a
That's
tendency
fascinating.
to root for, are losing. All right.
Yeah.
Back to the underdogs that are win. Do you have a team that you want to win now that we're down to 2?
No, I don't. I mean, go for KC. I guess Patriots, Philly don't necessarily like each other, so not necessarily a Philly fan. KC seems to be the dynasty at the moment, and when you're good, you're good. So you got to recognize it.
Oh yeah, no, he's great.
Or when you have the refs in your pocket, you have the refs in your pocket. And you gotta recognize it.
Whatever it takes, he's getting the job done. They've won more
They
of
said
1
this
point.
about Brady.
Yeah, he's on track to catch him. I don't know if he can sustain,
No way.
but he's on track. Yeah.
You got
All
to
right,
do
here we
20.
go.
We'll see.
Senator Warren, your good friend, Senator Warren. Hold on. Here we go. That the SEC with Gensler in regulation by enforcement has been going the last couple of years. I think there was a recognition that this deal is a little bit heavy-handed right now, that Senator Warren went through and has tried to create this anti-crypto army.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when you push too hard in one direction, you realize you're leaving out a group of people. And this group of people turns out is bigger than maybe what people otherwise thought it was. And just like the horse race in Kentucky, I mean, did you watch the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, and you saw these 3 horses come down, and they've been training for years, and it's a lifetime of energy and millions of dollars. And it's like the most narrowest of margins.
Yeah.
And I think when you think about this in terms of the election that's coming up this year, either way you look at this, I think it's going to be very narrow margins. Yeah, I think that's very well said. How about that? Now,
Well, you called the side. It wasn't a narrow margin. Like it was a very
that was
big
the part that was wrong. Yeah.
sweeping. I mean, but in all fairness, that's what they kept saying. Everybody thought we knew who was going to win, but they kept saying it was so close, And I honestly, I'm glad to see it wasn't that close.
Yeah, it turned out not to be. What I probably overestimated was the narrow margin. What I underestimated was the impact that Warren and Gensler had. Yeah. Because if you think back to it, one of the things at the Bitcoin conference that President Trump said, it was about he was going to fire Gary Gensler. Did you see that? And he got this crowd applause. I mean, he was going through his speaking, but he goes, "Let me say that again," and it took the crowd to another level. And so it was wild how that transpired. Gensler goes out on Friday night. Saturday night, there's a crypto ball. Half the people seem to be celebrating that. That's in a future episode too. We've got a couple more things to cover off here to kind of close us out. We're into crypto, we're into AI, we're into blockchain. We're talking about things that are taking the market cap for crypto to an all-time high. And as we talked about the different things, one of the mechanisms that came to the table that turned out to be of interest, not just to us, but to the platform and to the people that watch and listen. Oh, by the way, do you want to give the subscribe and like pitch right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you like what you see on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there. And don't forget to like this video and absolutely share it with your friends too. Don't hog all this good information for yourself. Or you can go tell them what we say and act like it's you, and you'll sound super smart.
I mean, for real.
Well,
I like that. That is great.
It depends, I guess, on which part you catch.
So there are 2 clips that I'm going to share. One, and I'll play them back to back just so that we can move through this smartly. But they came from season 3, episode 1 of Black Mirror, which is available, to my knowledge, on Netflix. And the first one sets it up, and the second one kind of shares a clip, not from a coffee shop, but actually from an experience she had in the airport. If you haven't seen the episode, it's incredible. I'll leave it at that. It was the person who checked her out. It was, she saw one of her friends, asked how their child was doing, and she got a quick 5-star. She walked by different people who may or may not have known. So in the setup, if you've ever been on Uber, you may know that you rate the Uber drivers, but what you may not know, you probably do by now, is that they rate you. So this movie kind of took that concept to an entirely new level. But you could see that the geography that's available to our phones allowed everybody else to know that she was there. And so in a wicked way, it almost, the people start impacting the people in this mindset, not just the government. And so I want you to watch the scene I'm about to show you. She's at the airport and she's going to speak at one of her childhood friends' weddings. In that, she expects to give the best speech of her life. She expects her social credit score to improve because all these people are going to rate her favorably because she tells this wonderful, beautiful story. But all right, but first, right, she's got to get there. And so I shared that to share this because, again, it was just two of the most well-received. Let me stop sharing and open up the correct one, and I'll go back down and share again of the scene from Netflix in the airport.
It's funny. We've all had this moment.
Oh, yeah.
For to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
Oh, no, not going.
Oh, well, that's not my fault. Some woman dinged me down in the cadre. Can't you
I'm
just?
sorry, it won't let me book it without the correct ranking.
But it's so close.
Just nothing I can do.
Right. I mean, surely.
I'm gonna have to ask you to moderate your language there.
Sorry, it's just. I'm maid of honor.
She's maid of
I
honor,
cannot miss
Dionna.
this sort of thing.
And I am so sorry about that.
She's mimicking.
Can you call the supervisor?
That's reserved for members of our Prime Flight program. You gotta be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
I almost want to watch it again. And apparently the listeners and watchers loved seeing that one as well. Because like you said, we've all been there.
We've all been there. We've all been there. But what a scary, what a scary thought. But we're already starting to see it implemented in some places. So,
well, good news with at least the crypto space and the relationship is with the EO, they've said, hey, no CBDCs.
Yep.
So
Huge.
I'm not saying that's the same thing as what she's going through, but let's not go down that path, if you will. In fact,
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about who has what control over what, or actually who has control over you financially, physically, you know what I mean? And that's where it's becoming scary, is the more and more control people can grab.
for sure. And we'll cover that and a lot more in future episodes. I just wanted to kind of get this launch of season 2 where we recap season 1. It's crazy how far we've already come.
Oh yeah. And how much we know what's going on. I mean, there was probably like 30 episodes and that was only 5 of good ones.
Oh no,
you know.
Not that anyone's counting, but we had 43 episodes in season 1. I know who's to say how many episodes we go in season 2, but we proved in season 1 the alpha is there. And if I were you, I'd, roll around, stick around, hit that subscribe and like button and get ready for episode 2 because we got some good intel. All right. Thanks, Dionna. We'll see you next time on All Time High.
You on my mind a lot. Don't need no time, watch.